Abby Poeske and Cameron LaMack from Cleveland State University, presenting on a curriculum for the future, student-driven pedagogy for a transdisciplinary graduate certificate.
In a small theater at the Maltz Museum of Jewish Heritage, an elderly man quietly sits in the corner, shifting in his seat and smiling at the incoming audience. He waits for everyone to be seated and the first question to be asked. A young woman raises her hand. "Hi, Stanley. Were you ever scared?" The man clears his throat and begins to recount his experience at the concentration camp, how he felt. The audience held captive by every word. Stanley, in fact, is not a man, but rather a hologram that uses artificial intelligence and hours of footage of Stanley answering questions people typically ask of survivors. This AI likeness preserves the memories of the late Holocaust survivor, giving us the ability to engage and connect with our past, keeping it near to us, to teach and guide us to be better. As the last remaining Holocaust survivors pass away, technology like this has the potential to keep their stories alive in new ways. But could this technology go too far? What if it began to autonomously generate new content? What if Stanley were hacked and began to manipulate history? What if we used similar technology to keep our loved ones alive forever? In labs around the world, computer scientists and engineers are pushing the boundaries of what's possible with technology. They're developing robots who can perform meaningful human tasks, using deepfake technology to generate convincing realities that have never happened before. At the same time, in university classrooms around the world, students are being lectured for hours about, for example, the history of Europe, oftentimes falling asleep at the seeming irrelevance of what's being shared. We are trained to passively consume and regurgitate information in primarily one discipline for long enough to graduate. Students are still being taught in ways that are often not effective at helping us understand, approach, or address the increasingly complex issues of our time.
So as we approach what we call Society 5.0, an existential phase of life in which technology shapes the way we experience life as a human being, we believe it is necessary to embrace a transdisciplinary and student-led graduate certificate with innovative pedagogy. We believe this wicked problem demands a student-driven, innovative, transdisciplinary curriculum and programming, such as a fellowship or community engagement, to spark conversation and train leaders and scholars around this topic. Our aim was to have a transdisciplinary team co-create a transdisciplinary curriculum and fellowship. So, as two urban affairs and one engineering graduate student, we upskilled our innovation toolkit by participating as Stanford University Innovation Fellows, and started working alongside a public administrator and a occupational therapy professor to scope this out.
As 3 graduate students, we co-constructed a graduate certificate program with faculty, modeling after programs across the US and survey responses from local stakeholders. We discussed what an innovative curriculum designed to address wicked problems, or problems that are hard to define, have no clear answer, and are interconnected to other issues, might look like. For example, the syllabi should be evolving documents that change with each cohort based on the experiences that the learners bring, with learning outcomes co-defined or grading structures co-created by the learners. Then we started mapping what is and what is not innovative pedagogy. For example, it might involve using technology like video gaming or AR simulations, followed by reflection to create shared experiences. It may be story-based, but it definitely does not involve 100% in-classroom lecture-style learning. We are taking lead on developing some activities and approaches for each course, as well as materials and experiences for each of the courses in the curriculum.
So knowing that our time as graduate students is hopefully limited, we are working on pathways to make this program sustainable. Having dedicated faculty and a network of innovative colleagues across campus definitely helps. We are also linking the Society 5.0 graduate curriculum to a recent NSF NRT grant that aims to train transdisciplinary engineers and leaders. In addition, we are launching what we hope to be an inaugural transdisciplinary 60-second lecture series on Society 5.0 and to pull in both new voices and new interests. Finally, we are developing a fellowship program so that other graduate students can take the lead in the future.
There are many challenges. The first is being totally transdisciplinarity, which requires representation from people beyond the walls of academia. Due to time and resource constraints, although we are each individually formed by our own outside experiences, we do not currently have someone who's an equal partner in co-creating this curriculum. We also are not being supported financially other than if it aligns with our graduate assistant work. Neither are our faculty members. Finally, with the disjointed academic calendar, momentum to move this forward has been choppy. We pulled back because we were waiting to hear about the NSF grant, and then summer hit. These are often cited challenges for transdisciplinary work. Fortunately, we have not run into the common problem of speaking different language and not understanding disciplines other than our own, perhaps because we're aware that this is a typical difficulty and are intentional about translating for one another. Our next steps, actually implementing this curriculum, will have plenty of challenges, but we believe there's great potential for transdisciplinarity and for student-driven curricula at our universities, not only to discuss advancing technologies in society, but also to teach scholars and train leaders in a variety of wicked problems. It is only by learning how to listen to one another and transcend traditional silos, approach problems using complexity theory and with creative teaching approaches, that we engage the post-COVID students and allow them to really think deeply so that we can hope to solve today's most complex challenges.
So thank you so much for coming to our little poster presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to engage in the question and answers, or you can just email them to us directly. Our emails were at the beginning of the presentation. Yeah, thank you so much.